leave everything and get out of this house. I'm taking the furniture and all." I couldn't believe my sister-in-law said this. Ever since my husband Noah passed away, she has done whatever she wants. Even when I remind her that this is my home with Noah, she doesn't care. I felt like no matter how much I resisted, nothing would change. So, I decided to leave everything behind, just like she wanted. "Fine, I'll go." My name is Isabella. Noah was a young CEO who took over his father's well-known company with many employees. I became his secretary when he became CEO, and we grew close while supporting each other through tough times. Eventually, we fell in love and started dating. Everyone at the company knew about us, and because we were both successful, we were admired by others. 2 years later, he proposed, and it was the happiest moment of my life. Our relationship stayed strong after we got married. Later, I quit my job as a secretary to support Noah at home. We've been married for almost 10 years and we're planning a trip for our anniversary. Every day with Noah was a joy. However, there was one problem. I have an older brother named Liam. Our dad is a driver, and our mom is too weak to work. After high school, Liam got a job instead of going to college and moved out. I saved money from my part-time jobs to go to college and later got a job at Noah's company, where I earned a good salary. I mostly saved my money or sent it home. Liam often asked me for money, and some of the money I sent to our parents ended up with him. He has a bad temper, and to avoid fights, I never said anything. I wished my parents wouldn't give him money, but they probably found it easier to keep him happy. Growing up, Liam often took things from me. Now, he works a blue-collar job and, according to our parents, is heavily into gambling, from horse racing to slot machines and lotteries. Despite having such a troublesome brother, I still gave Liam money after I got married. Sometimes, he even asked Noah for money, which I wished he would stop. Every day, I felt frustrated with Liam, but his wife, Harper, was even more of a headache. Since Noah was successful, we lived in a luxury high-rise apartment filled with nice furniture for when company came over. We bought the apartment with dreams of our future children in mind. I had trouble getting pregnant, but after 2 years of medical care, I finally became pregnant. Because of my many hospital visits, I was often away from home. Harper would come over, and while it was okay for her to visit, she would make a mess and treat me like a servant. "Isabella, I'm hungry. Get me something. I have to leave for the hospital soon," she would say. I would tell her to order delivery, but she never helped out or offered to pay when she was at our place. I had to do everything. When I talked to Liam about it, he didn't help much. He just said, "Listen to my wife. You have plenty of money." No matter how much we earned, I felt this was a separate issue. I confronted Harper, but she just said, "You're annoying. Take money from me and go gamble with it." It's been a year since Liam married her, and for over 6 months, I've been feeling overwhelmed by their behavior. I talked to Noah about it, and he apparently discussed it with my parents, but nothing seemed to change since they wouldn't listen. Every day, I thought about how I needed to resolve this before our baby arrived. Everyone dreams of a luxurious life, but no matter how much money you have, you shouldn't misuse it. I wished they would at least stop gambling with other people's money. The daily stress combined with my pregnancy made my morning sickness worse. Sometimes, I escaped home to help with Noah's company work. I could only do seated tasks like paperwork, but it helped ease my mind. I never imagined things with Harper and Liam would get worse. For our anniversary, Noah and I planned to dine at a fancy restaurant with a city view. I prepared early for our 3-day, 2-night stay at a luxurious hotel. I was excited, even buying new clothes and getting my hair done. I wanted to always be the wife Noah found beautiful. Even at 35, as usual, Harper tagged along, getting pampered at my expense. But I didn't mind. I checked our preparations for tomorrow to make sure we didn't forget anything. It was a lot to manage, and I was excited about our hotel stay. Time passed, but Noah didn't come home, and I didn't receive any messages. I thought maybe he was just held up at work. As I was about to call his office, my phone rang with an unknown number. When I answered, I heard, "Is this Mrs. Noah?" Please come to the hospital immediately. My heart sank. If they mentioned Noah's name, something must have happened to him. I quickly grabbed my essentials, hailed a taxi, and rushed to the hospital. When I arrived, I was taken to the surgery waiting area. A nurse called me into an examination room, where a doctor explained that Noah had been in a collision with a car that ran a red light. He was critically injured and was undergoing surgery. They told me to brace myself because he might not make it. I was in shock and couldn't process the news. I prayed desperately outside the operating room. Noah, please stay alive. 4 hours later, the surgery door opened, and the doctor came out. We did our best. I'm so sorry. No one didn't make it. I cried uncontrollably, my sobs echoing in the dim hospital corridor. Memories of Noah flooded my mind. A nurse tried to comfort me, but I barely noticed. Soon after, my mother-in-law arrived, crying and being held up by my father-in-law. Then a male doctor approached me with a bouquet. Are you Mrs. Noah? He wanted you to have these. When Noah was brought in, he was conscious and had asked the ambulance team to bring flowers from his car, insisting they be given to me before he lost consciousness. The bouquet was slightly damaged from the crash, but it was still a beautiful bunch of roses. Tucked within was a note that read, Isabella, thank you for being by my side for 10 years. I'm always grateful. Please take care. As I read the letter, I hugged it close and cried even more. That night, my mother-in-law stayed by my side, but my heart felt shattered. The first night without Noah was unbearable, and I couldn't sleep at all. The next morning, I still felt terrible, but my mother-in-law reminded me that I was pregnant, so I tried to rest a bit. When I woke up, I felt a kick from the baby inside me, bringing me back to reality. This child was mine and Noah's, and it was about to be born. It felt like the baby kid to tell me to pull myself together. So, I whispered a promise to Noah that I would protect our child and live strong. I washed my face with cold water, trying to fix my tear-stained cheeks. A few days later, after talking with family, we held Noah's funeral. Many people came, including family, colleagues, and business partners. Among them, one person stood out, Harper. Why should I wear black clothes? It's so old-fashioned, she said, wearing a flashy party dress that didn't fit the occasion at all. Many people looked at her with disapproval, but she didn't seem to care. Instead, she started flirting with some of the business executives, clearly hoping to get their money. After the funeral, my mother-in-law called a family meeting to talk about Noah's life insurance. She thought I should receive all of it, but some family members believed it should be shared. Liam and Harper joined the conversation. Harper argued that the money should go to Liam, the oldest sibling, saying, Isabella probably has enough savings. She doesn't need it. I sighed at Harper's boldness and confronted her about her inappropriate dress. You two won't see a cent of that insurance money, and your outfit is not suitable for a funeral. As I spoke, the other family members shot icy glares at Harper. Feeling the tension, Liam and Harper quickly left. This was Harper's first time meeting many relatives, and her first impression was terrible. What's the big deal? She huffed, clearly annoyed, as she stormed out with a flushed face. Seeing her like that gave me a little satisfaction. She often took advantage of others, and it felt good to stand up to her. But I knew that my hope she would change wouldn't last long. The discussion about Noah's insurance would come up later, and in the days that followed, Harper seemed to disappear. I figured she was off gambling, angry with me. A week passed without seeing her, and it felt peaceful. One day, I went to visit my mother-in-law after finishing my errands and decided to shop before heading home. As I approached my house, I noticed the lights were on. My palms got sweaty, and I thought it might be a burglar. I tried to stay calm, turned on my phone's recorder, and tried to unlock the door, but the key wouldn't fit. After several attempts, I rang the doorbell. Harper answered, saying, "What are you doing? Open up." She glared at me in her casual clothes and revealed that she had changed the locks while I was at my mother-in-law's house. It seemed she had been waiting for me to leave so she could do it. Then she said something shocking. "I'm taking this house and everything in it. Leave everything and go." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "This is Noah's house. You need to leave. You don't have a husband anymore. The house is too big for you. I'm doing you a favor, she sneered. I remembered I was recording the conversation. I realized that if I continued to resist, I would be the weaker one. So I decided to back down for now and use the recording later. Fine, I said, and left. I called my mother-in-law, who kindly took me in. I told her everything and played the recording for her. This is just like theft, she said. You could get compensation for the emotional distress. My mother-in-law advised me to contact the police and a lawyer. The next day, I did just that. The lawyer confirmed that it was a case of theft and that I could get compensation. I updated my mother-in-law on everything. My parents knew about the situation but seemed to have given up on Liam. It was unbelievable that someone would try to take it home from a pregnant woman. I wrapped my arms around my mother-in-law, holding her tightly. After a moment, she pulled away and looked deeply into my eyes. About the insurance money, I really wanted you to have it, Isabella. Noah wanted that too. She handed me an envelope. Inside was a letter. I recognized Noah's handwriting, and tears formed in my eyes. The letter was his will, written in case anything ever happened to him. Given his position as a CEO, he probably wrote in knowing that life couldn't be unpredictable. The message was clear. All the insurance money and his savings should go to me and our unborn child. He also mentioned that I might need to work if he wasn't around. He hoped I would take over the business and become the CEO, but since I had a child on the way, he suggested I could take a break and trust the company to a reliable employee. I wasn't sure about taking over the company right away, but I had observed Noah's work closely, and I felt it could be possible. As I read the letter, I felt Noah's presence more than ever and cried for a while. Once I composed myself, I told my mother-in-law. I agreed about the insurance money but needed time to think about the company. She offered to let me stay with her for a while, and I gratefully accepted. That night, I headed to bed and fell asleep quickly. The next day, following my mother-in-law's advice, I contacted a lawyer, visited a law firm, and then went to the police station. I had done some online research and, as expected, they treated it as theft. The lawyer assured me he would help me get compensation. I finished all the procedures that day and shared everything with my mother-in-law. She had already informed other family members about what happened. I also spoke to my parents, but they seemed resigned and sad. They didn't want anything to do with Liam anymore. I realized I didn't want to see such parents anymore. I just waited for the police to contact me. A few days later, I received a call from them. We're headed to your old house now. Is that okay? I quickly agreed and followed them to Harper's place. I waited in a police car parked nearby, while the officers rang the doorbell and knocked. When Harper saw the police, her face turned pale. Sorry, Mom, we're with the police. You're under arrest for theft. Harper, who usually was defiant, looked speechless and visibly shaken. Liam was also arrested as her accomplice. I had never seen him so terrified, and their reactions gave me a sense of relief. Later, the police and my lawyer updated me, and I was able to return home. Apparently, Liam and Harper had been evicted from their rented apartment due to unpaid bills, which led them to forcefully take my house. Regardless of their reasons, they should have known better. They didn't seem to understand that what they did was wrong. I hoped this arrest would be a wake-up call for them. Of course, they now owe me compensation, and I hoped they would accept this as atonement. Finally, back in my high-rise apartment, I called my mother-in-law. Hello, mother-in-law. I've decided to take over Noah's company. It's his legacy. That's wonderful. Noah must be smiling down on us from heaven. I felt determined to continue the legacy Noah had built as a CEO. It felt like the right thing to do for him. With a renewed sense of purpose, I approached a photo of Noah and whispered, "I'm home," with a smile.